Hello everyone, I'm here again with a new topic. In our previous videos, we discussed the Bloom's taxonomy, in which we learned that there are three domains of learning, which are cognitive, affective and psychomotor. I discussed that topic before this one because we make use of Bloom's taxonomy in writing instructional objectives. So, those who have not watched the previous videos on Bloom's taxonomy, I would suggest them to please watch those videos first to get a better understanding of this topic. The link to those videos is given in the description below. Before starting the topic, I would like to request you to please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed to it yet. And yes, press the bell icon as well to get notification whenever I upload new videos. So today we have to discuss the skill of writing instructional objectives or specific objectives. But first of all, we should know what are the instructional objectives and why we need to write them in our lesson plan. Actually, no educational activity is without any purpose. Whatever is there in the course of the students according to their class has some objective. Education is the process of changing the behavior of students in a desirable direction. Classroom instructions and activities help the teachers in this process. That is why it is desired that the teachers should clearly plan their objectives of a particular lesson. Before teaching in a class, teachers should plan a specific lesson with a target that they have to achieve by their teaching. Instructional objectives help in designing the teaching learning outcomes of the classroom. If the objectives are not framed prior to teaching, then it means the teacher has not set any target which she wants to achieve by her teaching. So, in such a case, the instruction becomes aimless or without a target, and it wastes the time of both the teacher as well as the students. So, it's very necessary to write instructional objectives. As we have already discussed Bloom's taxonomy in our previous videos, we already know that there are three domains of learning, which are cognitive, affective and psychomotor. Cognitive domain is related to our mind, which means it is related to our thinking and reasoning skills. Affective domain is related to our feelings and emotions, and psychomotor domain is related to our physical activities. Each domain has its own objectives, and each objective has its own specific objectives. So, instructional objectives are of two types, general and specific. Objectives created keeping in mind the vast view of the subject or unit are called general objectives or general aims, and objectives designed keeping in mind the specific purpose of the text are called specific objectives. For example, objective of teaching English grammar is to enable the students to speak English correctly and fluently. So this is a general objective or general aim. But if we discuss nouns in a class, which is a part of speech and just a small part of grammar, then the specific objective for this topic would be that at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to define nouns or the students will be able to list nouns. So, here we talk about the specific topic which the children will learn after studying that particular topic or lesson. To achieve these specific objectives is the main aim of each lesson and each teacher. When the teachers finish teaching the lesson, then at the end of the lesson, through revision and evaluation, they check whether they have been able to achieve these objectives or not. In this skill, the main thing is writing the specific objectives. So, it is necessary that after writing the objectives, we examine them on the following criteria. Number 1, objectives should be clearly stated. Number 2, they should be sufficient in terms of learning outcome. Number 3, they should be related to the subject matter. Number 4, they should be sufficient in terms of subject matter. And number 5, it should be made clear in the objectives what change in the behavior is expected. They should be such which can be checked. Specific objectives are now written with the aim of making changes and additions to the behavior of students. That is why they are now called behavioral objectives. So, why are they called behavioral objectives? Because they are written with the aim of making changes and additions to the behavior of the students. All the teachers should know how to write instructional or behavioral objectives. The components of instructional objectives are: number 1, clear description; number 2, sufficient in terms of learning outcome; 3, related to the content or subject matter; 4, sufficient in terms of content; 5, capable of evaluating the change in the behavior of the students; 6, levels of cognitive domain; 7, levels of affective domain; and 8, levels of psychomotor domain. Now let's learn how to write them. While setting the objectives of the lesson which we are going to teach in the class, we'll keep this thing in mind that we have to write objectives for all the 3 domains of learning, which are suggested by Bloom. But Indian adaptation of Bloom's taxonomy is slightly different from the original one. NCERT has worked and adapted the Bloom's taxonomy with some modifications to suit the Indian situation. It has clearly mentioned the cognitive, affective and psychomotor domain with their instructional objectives as well as specification. In Bloom's taxonomy, there are 6 levels of learning in cognitive domain, which are knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation. But NCERT has listed only 3 levels instead of 6 levels, which are knowledge, comprehension and application. Actually, it has merged analysis, synthesis and evaluation into application objectives. Affective domain is related to the development of interest among students for the subject or topic they are studying. It also includes the appreciation of culture, personalities, good deeds, etc. NCERT also emphasizes on developing positive attitude among students towards constructive persons, events and programs, which can help in bringing world peace and economic as well as national development, etc. It also stresses upon developing negative attitude towards wars, crimes, antisocial activities, etc. So, while framing the objectives in affective domain, we'll set objectives keeping these things in mind. So, we'll set objectives related to interest, attitude, and if it is poetry, then we can frame objectives for appreciation also. According to NCERT, psychomotor domain is related to the development of the skills related to the concerned subject. It may be drawing, locating, observing, experimentation, drama, and so on. So, in cognitive domain, the action verbs which can be used at knowledge level are define, select, state, measure, recall, list, identify, recognize, find, locate, label, listen, name, outline, highlight, memorize, search, tabulate, reproduce, gain, duplicate, match, etc. By using these verbs, we can set the objectives of the topic which we are going to teach in the class. For comprehension or understanding level, explain, describe, illustrate, indicate, present, classify, sequentially arrange, differentiate, interpret, translate, identify relationship, compare, cite, detect, discriminate, etc. verbs can be used for setting the objectives. In the same way, for application level, verbs like judge, analyze, assess, evaluate, formulate, justify, suggest, confirm, use, reason, predict, establish, verify, infer, determine, evaluate, generalize, summarize, conclude, apply can be used. In affective domain, for interest, Specifications such as to take interest, to gain interesting information, show curiosity, show attention, motivation, desire, and participate in social discussion, etc. can be used. For attitude, following specifications can be used, such as to develop positive attitude, scientific attitude, or negative attitude, to show respect, to show feelings. And for appreciation, specifications such as express appreciation on valuable work, rich heritage, social activism, etc. To show like and dislike of good and bad deeds prevailing in the society. Participate in desirable social welfare programs, to appreciate poetry, etc. can be used for setting the objectives. And in psychomotor domain, objectives would be framed for skill only, and following specifications can be used for framing the objectives, such as to observe, to collect, prepare, indicate, handle instruments appropriately, record, conduct, and act. You can take a screenshot of these action words or verbs. Now let's learn how to write specific objectives by using these action words. So first of all, let's choose some topic. I'll take adjective as a topic to teach students. So let me first set the objectives of teaching this topic. Since there are 3 domains of learning, so first let's frame the objectives of cognitive domain. As we already know that according to NCERT, the instructional objectives would be framed at 3 levels, which are knowledge, comprehension, and application. So first of all, let us set objectives of knowledge level. For this, we'll check the verb chart and pick verbs from there. First of all, we'll write the objectives of the first level, that is knowledge. We'll write 2 objectives for each level. Now, we'll pick one verb from the list. So, here we can write, the students will be able to define adjectives. It will be number 1. Now, next objective can be, let's pick one more verb from the list. I'll pick identify. So, we can write, the students will be able to identify adjectives in the sentences. Remember this thing, that only one verb should be written in one objective, because either a student can master the objective or they fail to master it. For example, an objective has 2 verbs, define and classify. So, it may be possible that he is able to define it, but not able to classify. Then how will you decide that they are demonstrating mastery or not? So, only one verb should be used in one objective. And remember that you will write them in future tense only, as their behavior is expected to change after you finish teaching. Now, we'll write 2 objectives for comprehension or understanding level. So, now check its list of action verbs. The action words or verbs such as explain, illustrate, indicate, present, formulate, etc. are given. We'll pick only one verb out of these verbs, which we think should be appropriate according to the age and class of our students. Suppose we give examples from it. Now, we can frame objective as, the students will be able to give examples of adjectives. Now pick one more verb out of the list. Second objective can be, the students will be able to classify adjectives into qualitative, quantitative, numeric, demonstrative, distributive, possessive and interrogative adjectives. Now the third level is application. So let's check the list. Apply, build, choose, and so many verbs are given there. First I'll pick apply out of these verbs. So the objective will be, the students will be able to apply the knowledge of adjectives in framing sentences. Now I'll pick the verb use. So the students will be able to use adjectives in their conversation. Now let's see how to frame the objectives of affective domain, which is related to emotions and feelings of the students. Let's first frame objective for interest. Number 1, the students will be able to show desire to learn about adjectives. And number 2 can be, the students will be able to develop interest in making sentences with adjectives. For attitude, the students will be able to develop positive attitude towards learning adjectives. Or the students will show positive attitude towards making sentences with adjectives. Now only the psychomotor domain is left. It is related to motor skills or physical activities of the students. Just write skill over here and you can use these action words to frame your objectives. So here for this topic, you can write the objectives such as the students will be able to make charts showing the adjectives, or the students will be able to make a model based on adjectives. As we have already discussed that while setting the objectives for psychomotor domain, we focus on the development of skills. We know it very well that there are 4 skills of language, which are listening, speaking, reading and writing. So now I choose write to set my objective. So the objective can be, the students will be able to write sentences using adjectives. For micro lesson plan, you will frame 2 objectives for skill. But for macro lesson plan, only 1 objective would be enough for this domain. So in this way, you can write objectives in behavioral terms. For this skill, you don't have to teach in the class. You just have to make a micro lesson plan for it and its observation table too. The observation table for this skill in your micro lesson plan would be like this. So your micro lesson plan will look like this. First of all, you will write micro plan on the top. Then you will write the name of the skill below it. Then on the top leftmost corner, you will write date, and below the date you will write class like this. Then in the center you will write subject, and below the subject you will write the topic. Always underline the topic. Then on the rightmost corner you will write period, and below the period you will write duration, which would be 5 minutes for micro teaching lesson plan. In your micro lesson plan, you will make observation table on the separate punch sheet, where you will have to write the components of the skill along with the rating scale like this, where 6 would be excellent, 5 very good, 4 good, 3 average, 2 below average, 1 poor and 0 nil. I hope you have understood the concept well, and now when you have to write specific objectives, you will be able to write them easily. Still, if you have any queries, you can ask me in the comment section. I'll make sure to respond as soon as possible. You can watch my bilingual video to get a better understanding of this topic. I've chosen a different topic in that video to set the objectives. Now, I would like to request you to hit the like button and share it with your friends so that they can also benefit from it. And also subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed to it yet. So meet you soon in the next video in which I'll discuss introduction skill, inshallah. Don't miss it. Till then, bye-bye and thanks for watching.